Yo, what's good, family? Hey, I appreciate y'all all for tuning in, checking out the content. Much love, much respect for everybody who interact, who leave a comment, who leave a like, who leave a dislike, who watch the replay, who watch the lives, who comment in the polls, who vote on the polls. Yo, I respect and appreciate each and every one of you. This video, hey, I'm gonna keep it short because your boy just got back from the gym. So we're gonna keep this video short today, but we're gonna talk about somebody who historically they always like. If you want to talk about somebody who has a hot take, like Dame Dash may he may have the hottest takes for things regarding African American culture, finances, and entrepreneurship of anybody that I could think. Like literally every time he has an interview and opens his mouth, something goes viral. So I saw an article that popped up where Dame Dash talked about him being proud broke, which in and of itself is wild. But we're gonna dive into that. We're gonna talk about this article. We're gonna go through it. I'm gonna give y'all an interesting take that one of my mentors gave me. Like, damn, DFD, you old as hell. You got a mentor? Yo, I still have mentors. Not really in the law game, because hey, your boy know that pretty good. I have most of my mentors. Oh man, I'm gonna be on some urban struggle stream and stuff. Ugh. Oh man, that was a real struggle stream. How your boy forget to I had to move some of my equipment around. And you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to plug this joint up. Could you imagine if I would have dove in and got into it and this thing would have cut off? I would have been extremely upset. Yeah, that's a thing though. That's like the typical dad bod where you kind of fat, but you look like you used to work out. So your stomach still got like remnants of a 6 pack and maybe like a 4 pack. This man said he looked like E Honda, man. You funny. What's good, man? So yeah, we're gonna talk a little bit about this article. And yes, like I said, I do have a mentor. I know that's wild. Like, dude, you old as hell and you got a mentor. But like I was saying, it's not at the law thing. Uh, Prior to the pandemic, and I maybe mentioned this before, but I joined like a black entrepreneurs type of group where you can, interact with other entrepreneurs, people who are millionaires and multimillionaires, like verified. It's not like I'm in a group with like Jay Morrison or something. But yeah, so me and my mentor was talking about this article, and he gave me a dope perspective. So I definitely want to share that with y'all. Hey, as always, you're at the channel the Jeffrey Dad, where we're talking finances, financial takes, financial topics, attorney reactions. Licensed attorney, but this isn't legal or financial advice. Don't listen to any talking head on YouTube, especially me. Seek a professional in your area. Hey, what's going on, sis? I actually saw the live that you did the other day with don't tell me why oh my god, why is the names escaping me? I can't remember the names. It's crazy. I should know this. I can't remember, but I actually checked it out. I just couldn't comment because I was like driving or something like that. So I was like, I just kind of watched and checked it out. But yeah, so we're going to talk a little bit about Dame Dash. We're going to pull out some of the financial lessons from this, and we just going to, as a bonus, we're going to talk about something that's fun. We're going to talk about an interesting list that was developed with regard to places women don't want to go on a first date, which I find it hilarious that a bunch of women who are single who got to go on dates created a list of places they don't want to go on dates. I just find that concept funny in itself. We ain't got no man, but we're gonna tell you when not to take us. That don't even make any sense. But we'll get that after we get into the substance. So let's go ahead and pull up this article. And before we pull up the article real quick, how are we defining broke? Hmm? I'm talking to Caesar. He has got a good real estate advice. All right, man. Don't ask me to come bond you out. I'll do your first appearance for you, but I can't bond you out, bro, for something that silly. But what is the definition of broke, right? Like, I don't know. I think everybody has a different definition of broke because I think being broke depends on your circumstances, okay? Like, when I really wasn't making any money and I was like broke as hell, broke then is completely different from how I would interpret broke now. And I'm gonna tell y'all, I'm gonna just be honest. I don't even know how to really judge broke because I always feel like I'm broke. I just tend to operate from a place of scarcity because I remember not having stuff and having to struggle. So it's actually hard for me to actually spend money sometimes. I got to be like, man, what you doing? Like I didn't feel financially comfortable until like I don't know, maybe a year or two ago. That was after like 15 plus years of investing where I was like, okay, I'm not actually broke, but I'm not far from broke, so don't fuck up. So don't mess up because you could actually get there and be broke. But I don't know. I think this is a universal definition of broke that can apply no matter what your economic status is. You can be in the early stages, the mid stages, like because broke and poor, like poor is like that's a whole different ball game, right? How I define broke is you have enough money to pay your essential bills. What are your essential bills? You got a roof over your head. You can pay your car note. You got groceries in the refrigerator. I think that's the definition of broke. But you have to decide and pick what non-essential bills you aren't going to pay. So how I define broke is I got enough money to pay all the essentials, but some of the things that aren't essential, I got to figure out which one of those I'm gonna pay and which one I'm not gonna pay. For us growing up, that non-essential bill was always the phone bill. I used to hate that too, man. Oh man, growing up it was terrible. I meet a girl and get her phone number, and then I call her for a couple weeks. Then the next week the phone off. I'm like, God damn. Look like I ain't gonna ever talk to her. But I think that's a general definition of broke, in my opinion, that most people can accept. Aaron said, I always consider broke a relative term. When I was younger, it was having no money. Now it is, I don't have that money in the budget. Even if it is in the bank for a different purpose. Yeah, I agree. I agree. It like I said, it's something that it's just levels to it. You know what I mean? You could be busted broke. You could be kind of broke. You can be budgeting broke. I should coin that. Busted broke, kind of broke, budgeting broke. You could be, I have access, but I'm broke because I don't have the money for what I'm looking at or what I want to do right now. I got money for something else over there. Get that carrier pigeon. Man, that joke was terrible, man. Especially in school, man. They be like, why you ain't call me? I'm like, oh, you clearly ain't called me because if you would have called me, you would have heard the number you have dialed has been disconnected. that J was terrible, man. Budgeting broke. Yeah, I know. Budgeting broke. I budgeted, but I ain't got no money for that. But I got money for the stuff that's within my budget. I like that. That's a good one. I need to slap that on a shirt or something. And so, he said he was proud broke. And so let's go ahead and pull this article up real quick because I wanted to take a look at this article. Because, like I said, and wealthy people broke is completely different. They still had their mansion, they just had to sell two of the Ferraris. Okay, so I think it's a little bit different. But Dame Dash says he's been losing money for years. I'm proud broke, which is a hilarious term. I mean, I don't know. Proud broke wasn't in none of those uh, areas of broke that I laid out, or the stages of broke assness that I laid out. Dame Dash has spoken on his struggles to make timely child support payments. Okay, child support, we is already a financial lesson in the first sentence. To make timely child support payments, which he attributes to financial woes related to his entrepreneurial pursuits. During the episode of the CEO show on his America New Network platform, the Harlem native spoke with Dr. Taji Moreno about his failure to keep up with child support payments to his ex-wife Rachel Roy. According to Dash, he's been losing money for years and is admittedly not as financially stable as he was in his heyday, when he was raking in millions of dollars annually. While I'm investing in something else, I might not. This is annoying me. It was just annoying me. While I'm investing in something else, I might not be making the money, the profit, so I can't afford to pay out what I was when I was having earnings before interest, taxes, and amortization of $8 million a year. The 52-year-old told Moreno. So you can't judge how much I'm going to pay out now by how much I made 20 years ago. Dash continued by admitting that he is currently broke due to investments in his current businesses and hasn't yielded enough profits over to cover hundreds of thousands in child support at this time based on his income. If I had to start a new company from scratch without any money to start it, he added, I had to do it by rubbing sticks together. So I can't pay out $300,000 or $400,000 a year in child support because I ain't making that. But I'm not ashamed of that because I have things to show for it. I don't even know what that is. I'm broke and I can't pay child support, but I have things to show for it. But it hasn't profited yet. I'm like proud broke, but it ain't broke because I have things to show for it. Like I don't know. I feel like it should have been a follow up there. Like what? What are the things you have to show for it? The enterprising mogul contends that his ex-wife should pay the bills and her home due to receiving a chunk of his fortune as part of the divorce in 2009. Blah blah blah. I don't want to hear all the crying. So I have to now start a new company without any working capital, he continued. So I had to flip. So while I'm doing that, it's like, yo, Rachel got the money I was making. She should pay the bills, but you can't be mad at me and make me feel bad if the money that I had to give the kids you got, blah 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 blah. I ain't worried. I don't want to hear all that lip service about having to pay child support. We'll talk about that. Dame Dash legal battles involving child support have been well documented. In 2019, he was arrested for owing more than $400,000 in child support to Roy and another woman, Cindy Morales, but was released after paying more than $1 million in total to clear his debt. All right, so let's dive in and talk about this real quick, okay? Is an interesting article if y'all wanted to check it out. But hey, that's the meat and potatoes of it. We're gonna talk about this a little bit because there's a couple of things that are interesting. Hey, what's going on? I appreciate everybody tuning in. Shout out to Vanna. Hey, I'm not petty, okay? I thought that short was funny. D. Child support gets you every time. I don't know, man. Like, it depends. Like in his instance, I'm not going on whether he should pay child support or not, because whatever. That's a him problem. But in his instance, having to owe $400,000 like a year for child support is wild. But generally, I don't want to hear people complain about child support. Like regular people. I know regular people who complain, like, yeah, man, I gotta send $1,000 a month. I'm like, $1,000? $1,000? You know how much I gotta spend a month for my kids? It's a lot more than $1,000. So I'm like, people didn't make you feel so horrible about being broke like now. It seemed like everyone talk about money all the time. I don't think it's well. I'm kind of petty. Yeah, I could be petty. I'm not king petty though. I'm just mildly petty for certain things. I don't think it's I don't think it's everybody's talking about money all the time. I just think like, back when we was coming up, it wasn't nobody on like, I don't know, AOL sending messages about finances, or nobody really cared about anybody net worth. I feel like all that finance check-in of celebrities, maybe they did it before people was buying Forbes and looking at the list, but I feel like that just kind of spun out of control with the whole social media thing. But I was talking to my mentor about this article, and 52 years old. most people at the age of 52 are making the highest amount of money that they're ever going to make in their entire working career, right? So my mentor was like, that's the trade-off for being an entertainer. If you're an entertainer and you hit it big young, whether you're an athlete, a rapper, whatever, you're gonna get all your money front loaded. So you gotta be stable and have a plan for that money because it's going to nosedive when everybody else is making the most money they ever made. You could be making the least money you ever made. But he told me about an addiction that entrepreneurs have if they had success relatively young. And I never thought about it until he said it. $182 a month in child support. Like, yeah, that's wild. Like, hey, I'm like, hey, child support is a gift and a curse. I understand why it's needed, but I understand that it also gets exploited, by the justice system, by men and women who want somebody to pay it. I think the general rule is, man, if you could avoid just getting in that situation, avoid it. But my mentor was telling me that if you're an entrepreneur and you have success relatively early, it's like winning at a casino, or it's like a drug addict who utilizes who uses drugs for the first time. And he was like, a lot of times, what you see entrepreneurs do who hit it big in their 20s, they'll sell that business or the business will dissolve, and they're always chasing that exact same success. So what the addiction is, they have an addiction to starting companies. So they'll start a company. I'm gonna start a broadcasting network. I'm gonna start a food delivery service. I'm gonna start an OnlyFans page. But he said they'll keep reaching out and keep trying to start all of these business endeavors because they are looking for that one to strike it big how they did on that first hit. And I never even thought about that until he said it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That did kind of, yeah. Yeah, I agree, but I don't know. I think he changed, but I think he always been just kind of loud, obnoxious, and braggadocious. But it was funny because I didn't think that. I mean, I guess you can have an addiction to everything, but I never thought of it from a standpoint of an entrepreneur who has early success can keep chasing that success to a point where they're making bad financial decisions or they're stretching themselves too thin. And he said, when I read that article, that was the first thing that he thought about. He said, most times the best way and what he advises people to do, because he has other people who started, tech startups and other people who he mentor. He said, and I thought this was interesting. He said, typically, if you start a business in your 20s and that business is successful, you subsequently sell that business or it dissolves or whatever it is. He was like, it's nothing wrong with starting another business, but you should limit the amount of business ventures you have at one time, and you should flip your experience from starting that business to a role with a company that you can provide immediate value to. Like, yo, if you was the CEO, founder, one of the three founders of Rocafella Records, and you had multi millions of dollars in clothing and music and movies, because hey, you got to give Dame Dash props. Hey, he did find Kevin Hart. Let's just be honest. But he should be able to finesse that into a role at Def Jam or something like that. But we gotta understand Dame. Dame don't want to work for nobody. He wants to work for himself. And in working for yourself, sometimes you gotta, hey, start from the bottom and build it from scratch. So I thought that was interesting that he could have a what he called the entrepreneurial addiction because he's trying to find that business that's gonna take off how Rockefeller did, like in the 90s and the 2000s. The other thing that we can get from this article, and we can get this immediately from the beginning of the article. The very first sentence, hey, like Wolverine said, hey, child support is no joke. Depending on which state you're in, depending on what jurisdiction you're in, the rules are different. Sometimes they take into consideration a lot of things that are fair and balanced. Sometimes the judge don't give a damn about things that could be fair and balanced. So you definitely have to be cognizant of like I always say, the most important financial decision you'll make is who you decide to marry and who you want to have a kid with. Actually, the most important financial decision you'll make, more important than marriage, is who you'll have a kid with. Okay, that's the most, because you could, let's just be honest. If you're married, y'all don't got a bunch of assets. You could probably get out of that marriage unscathed financially. But once you have kids, assets develop, that's when it gets wild. That's when it starts to get really ridiculous. But I thought that story was interesting. Um, I'm just gonna be honest, and I don't think Dame Dash is broke. I don't think he has no money. I think that, I mean, the dude did an interview on his own network. The fact that he has a network, it shows he has some type of capital. But like I said, I think he has so many business ventures that none of them are really turning to profit. So he's stretching himself thin. So according to the general definition that I have of broke, you can pay all your essentials. You got to figure out which non-essential bill you're gonna let go. And I'm guessing child support is an essential bill to him. I'll tell you right now, if it was me, I think any bill that you don't pay that could throw your ass in jail, that's essential. Like, it is nothing like, I don't know. Child support is the worst thing, second worst thing that a person can go to jail for. Uh, Child support is number two. Number one is driving while license revoked. I've seen people go to jail for driving while license revoked 60, 90 days. It's just getting ridiculous. But being incarcerated for child support is is terrible because, well, for two reasons. One, you actually locked up, so you don't have an ability to work for the most part. I mean, not talking about Dame Dash, but regular people. Most times you got to have a physical person. You need to show up to do something to get some type of compensation. So you don't have even the ability to work. But the other thing is, if you owe $10,000 in back child support, you went in custody for 30 days. When you get out of custody, you know how much you're gonna owe? More than $10,000. That time you spend in custody don't reduce what you owe. It doesn't toll or stop the current payments that you have to make. Yo, it's a really cold game. But again, having a child, more important financially than who you actually marry, because once you have a child, that's automatically off the rip 18 to 21 years that you have to invest in that child, uh either through intentional means, because you just, hey, I'm gonna do what I need to do, or unintentional. But apparently child support isn't a pertinent bill, because my definition of broke, I would probably have to let that recording studio or something go so I could focus on the child support, because going in custody for child support, I think, is just, it's crazy, especially if you're like a Damon Dash person. If you're a wealthy broke person, that's really ludicrous. If you're just like a regular person and you go in custody for child support, hey, again, that's a situation you need to talk to your attorney. But I think it's a wow. But I think this dude does have an entrepreneurial addiction. I think that's point on. I think he's just trying to find that next play that's going to put him in a position to, what he would probably consider being on top again. All of this stuff with celebrities and the early income on the front end, I'm gonna tell y'all right now, I couldn't do it. I couldn't be, if somebody said you got an option to make whatever, you got an option to make $10 million from the age of 18 to 27, or you got an option from the age of 23 to 80, if you wanted to work until 80, to make $175,000, to make minimum of $89,000, and it could go all the way up to $225,000 a year. And it's not hard, excruciating, backbreaking work. Like, I'm always gonna take option number two. In my opinion, I think I always have to take option number two, because option number one, like I did in my divorce. Yeah, Wolverine and Dwayne Wade are the only guys who got divorced and didn't get screwed. You're the only people who, man, how you gonna type that? I'm never getting married again. Man, I hope your girl don't watch this video. That's crazy, man. You're a wild boy, man. But hey, divorce is the number one indicator of poverty in the United States, and it has been for a long time. And marriage is the number one indicator of wealth. So, it is what it is. Sometimes, marriage has its benefits. It creates a financial structure. The tax code benefits marriage, and divorce creates a financial distress and disaster. And most people are going to end up taking a loss in it. So, you know, that's just something that you have to deal with strategically. And you got to know, like I'll tell you right now, if DFD ever got a divorce, yo, I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna be the most easygoing guy in the world. I'm gonna be like, yo, especially if my kids was like young. I'm gonna be like, all right, look, this is what we gonna do. Okay, you can take the cool car, you can take the cool house. Just let me know what you need. Take the house. I go ahead and pay the mortgage on that. I'll be so accommodating for a couple of reasons. One, I mean, fortunately, I have a profession where if there's money to be made out there, I can make money. It's just a matter of how hard I want to work and how much I want to grind. If I want to really bust my ass and make a lot of money, I could. I just don't want to be nobody's slave. That's point number one. But point number two, I think it's always better if you can work out some amicable agreement to avoid things having to be in the hands of the court. Because that's the one thing I don't like about family law. And I never practiced family law exclusively, but there's no rules. It has no rules. If someone commits a crime, I could go to the book and say, hey, this person is charged with this crime. In order to prove that they did it, you have to prove A, B, C, D, and E. If you can't prove all of those things, this person they're probably not going to proceed because they can't prove their case, or this is an affirmative defense. If this person was charged with first degree murder, if or second degree murder, if we can prove that he had an affirmative defense, it all goes away. There are specific rules in family court, especially when you have children. They have this concept called the best interest of the child, and that's completely up to the judge. I've seen some judges who, if the kid's old enough, they'll actually ask the kid who you want to live with and all of these questions. I've seen some judges who just don't really give a damn, who don't really give a damn. You know what I mean? So let's see. Marriage is marriage is the number one cause of divorce. Yeah, man, but people, I don't know, man. I feel like people get divorced too easy though. Like, is that just me? Is it just me? But I think generally people get divorced too easy. Like, I was just about to say that marriage is the number one cause of divorce. Hey, that's factually accurate. Yeah, I don't want to get married anymore. I just want a nice guy to spend my life with. Divorce was hard on me as a child. I know it. Hey, divorce is that don't suck, man. I realized how bad divorce was. Like that very first Christmas when my parents got divorced, and my mother got me a bike, and that bitch wasn't put together. I was like, man, I ran downstairs for Christmas like a bike, and it was just like a bike. The wheels weren't on it. I was like, this is what all the toys I had, none of them had batteries, none of them was put together. I was like, man, see, this is what fathers are for. Fathers are there to put the toys together, to make sure you got the batteries so the kids can play with things. Like, I mean, but outside of that, it was one of those things where then you get jaded depending on what parent you're with. I mean, it creates a really big mess, and that goes back to something I talked about in another video where if we know divorce has statistically very bad impact on children, right? So we know that raising a child in a single parent home has a statistical probability of having very negative impacts on the child. I can never wrap my mind around why, like, and I had this conversation because I didn't understand it. And so I asked my homegirl, like, why would you want to have a child and not have whatever you define as the confines of a family structure around it? Like, like, I don't know. Like I said in other videos, yeah, like I always wanted to be a father and have kids, but I didn't want to be a single father. No, I never did that. If the options were never have kids or be a single dad, I ain't never having kids. Like I just wouldn't want to do that because I don't know. I've never met in my personal experience, okay? Like I've never met a single parent, be it male or female, who was just like, yo, this is the best way to go about it. I'm really glad I did it this way. I've just never seen that. And so I think that, we know the effects of divorce, but that also goes to the point where a lot of people choose to have kids and it just be them and they just want to rock by themselves. It's all good. I talked to her about being, well, at least she was honest and upfront with it. At least she was honest and upfront with it. But yeah, so essentially, two things right now that's giving Dame Dash financial grief is having that entrepreneurial addiction and stretching himself too thin, trying to start all of these business endeavors. I've started one, two, three businesses that were formalized business, that were formal business structures. Two of them were successful, and the other one is this unsuccessful YouTube venture. But hey, I'm gonna keep putting this stuff out there because I enjoy it and I appreciate everybody who in the comments, right? But I've started three businesses. One was a freight brokerage business. The next one was essentially real estate investment with a real estate portfolio. And yo, you have to have a lot of capital up front. Had I did both of those at the same time, like we would have, I don't know, we would have been living in a tiny home somewhere or in a camp underneath a bridge or something because I just didn't have the capital to do it. Starting a business venture, and I'm always a person where I guess it's probably frowned upon, but I've always used my own capital. When I started the freight brokerage business, I needed like it was something like $10,000 to raise, and that was something where I was like, "Yo, I got to start up the capital and get the capital so I could get it off the ground," because I just didn't want to. Once I feel like it's too much risk involved if you're starting a business and then you're already like, that's why I see it on the apply for a business credit card, this and business credit card, that. Like, yo, I'm not applying for none of that shit. I don't want a business credit card. Even if I had a business credit card, I probably wouldn't use it or I would use it very sparingly. A lot of people act like business credit is something you can use. And if you mess it up, no harm, no foul. But no, you have to have a personal guarantee on a lot of these business credit cards. And what that means is if you jack it up, business wise, you're the personal guarantee they're going to come after you. So I think he's just stretched a little bit too thin, and I think these family problems are really kicking him in the you know what. Right? Now, before we get out of here, yo, I thought this was interesting to talk about because I did a video where we talked about the cheesecake girl. Okay, we talked about the cheesecake factory girl and how she was upset and appalled. And this is how I'm not gonna say, yeah, this is how stupid I think overall society has gotten as a whole. All right, let me go ahead and pull this up so we can go through this list, okay? Because I took a look at this list right before I came up here and jumped on this live, and I was like, oh man, I would never have no dates in 2023 if I was single. Because hey, some of my top three places on this list are things that I would be like, hey, this is what we doing for our first date. Let's see. This is crazy. 28 places. This is 28 places. So this is okay. Some of them I agree with. We're gonna start from the wow, this actually made the news. Okay, we hold on. We might have to check out this video. Let's see. Let's see. Skip. All right, let's take a look at this video. Hold on. Let me go and get this video up because I find it interesting that I don't know. This apparently a list of women created this list of 28 places that they do not want to do. Absolutely, undeniably, uh, that they do not want to do on a first date. So let me go ahead and get this. Let me get this. Let me get this list squared away. So we're gonna remove that. I hope it was. I'm assuming it was single women who created the list. And like I said, if it's single women who created the list, I think that's crazy to not have a man but give out a list of places you don't want to go. Like, that's crazy. Like, I don't know. I thought the whole point of a first date was getting to know somebody, so it should be something. I thought it should be something kind of light, off the cuff. Like I don't know. Maybe hey, maybe your boy just old school in my way of thinking. But let me go and get this video pulled up so we can.
Social media platform X.
It's so weird calling Twitter X. All right, let's go ahead and take a listen to see what this list of places is and who agree with what.
Unacceptable places to take a woman on a first date, going viral on the social media platform X, formerly known, of course, as Twitter.
Yeah, it's leaving men stumped on where else they should take the woman. The first 6 places are popular restaurant franchise chains like Applebee's, Chili's,
I want my baby back.
Olive Garden, and the Cheesecake Factory.
Okay, first of all, Olive Garden,
Yeah.
all you can eat breadsticks, salad soup. I mean, that's a value, Megan.
By the way,
What's wrong
producer
with that?
Fawaz, who made this list? Is this just going viral? Is it like on Reddit or something?
I like number
Okay,
7.
okay.
Your
Okay,
house.
So women weighed in. Okay, so includes Cheesecake Factory, all those. Any fast food chain.
Okay,
also,
Buffalo Wild Wings.
a big no.
That's a
I like
good
number
time,
21
that's a good
too.
game
Movie
on.
night.
Other places
Netflix,
mentioned
Hulu, etc.
include
Your house.
movies, the gym, a bar for drinks, coffee, or ice cream dates and sporting events. Pretty much these women listed everything there is to do. Clubs and hookah lounges also made the list. It got many men up in arms, including ESPN analyst Stephen A. Smith.
First of all, what the hell is wrong with the Cheesecake Factory? Ain't nothing wrong with the Cheesecake Factory. Not only is there nothing wrong with the Cheesecake Factory.
All right, so yo, that's the list. I'm personally fond of 7 and 21. Oh geez, this woman, sorry, but if you choose to spend a lot of money on your makeup, it is not your magic. Yeah, I agree. And she didn't go to the expensive place because she was late. That's the thing. Like, I don't think you could chastise them for taking you somewhere when y'all already missed the reservation because it was your fault. But yeah, I thought that list was hilarious. That list, hey, going all the way from number 28 down, you got sports event. I don't know if that's a place for a first date because I think the first date is somewhere where you got to actually like meet a person and get to know about them. Unless you like a diehard, Washington Commanders fan or something like that. That's probably gonna be a no-go. Nightclub, bowling. What's wrong with bowling? Somewhere that requires a long drive. I don't want to do that either. I don't need first date. I wouldn't even know. I don't even know if I really like you for real. I damn sure don't want to be in a car with you for no hours. Movie night at home. I like that. Family function. That's definitely a no. Ice cream date. I don't know. I think it's a good idea in the summertime, but I don't know here. Black folks, we lactose intolerant, so that could be a disaster. Coffee date, Starbucks, church. Oh nah, man. Church is good if you like older and not a heathen, but like young single me, nah. I did go to church to pray though. Prey, pray. What else they got? The gym. I don't even like going to the gym with my wife, so that's probably going to be a no. I don't like going to the gym with my wife because we do different exercises. Like, okay, if DFD wanted to have a snatched up waist and some nice strong glutes, then it would be fine. But no, my wife gonna want to do squats and go on a treadmill. I'm not trying to do all of that stuff. But it's crazy that we growing up in this society, we coming up in this society, or society just took a pivot to now it's all about me, what I want. I thought that was interesting and dumb as hell, that list. So I'm assuming the creators of the list probably don't got nowhere to go. They probably eating a Lunchable or a Hot Pocket right now as we speak. But yeah, that's it for this video. I think the only other thing from a finance point that I saw that people were talking about, what are y'all thoughts on the Secretary of Treasury essentially coming out saying that the U.S. we got enough money to fund 2 wars. Like, yeah, we just don't learn, do we? Like, I get it. As an ex-soldier, I know my guy Wolverine, a ex vet out there. As an ex-soldier, okay, I understand the name of the game is you just take your marching orders and do what you're told. That's just kind of what it is. But as a civilian, I think it's a little bit wild to have 2 conflicts going on in the world that we are sending billions of dollars to fund. Now, I don't understand all of the specific political nuances and everything, and I understand there are some national security issues. I've been hearing the words access of evil, access of power, which immediately give me cause to pause because I think that's kind of sketch. This list won't age well. We're probably already in an economic depression. Layoffs are out of control. Shout out to Wallet Watch. Layoffs are out of control and still going. Soon these ladies will accept anything, including fast food. I don't know. Where did I take my wife to on our actual first date? That's a good question. She probably downstairs in the house. Let me see. She'll remember. I want to say Popeyes. I think it was Popeyes. Yo, what is wrong with her phone? Hey, I got a question to ask you. I'm on the live, so don't start talking all sexy to me. Where did we go? Where was the first place I took you when we started dating? They got a list of 28 places that women came up with that they don't want to go on a date. I was found in number 7 and 21. It was your house and watching movies. And I was like, where did we go the first time we went on a date? I want to say Popeyes, but am I making that up? I got a real one. DFD got a real one. It was Popeyes. Yep. All right. I just wanted to make sure my memory was good. Hey, that's it. I wanted to make sure I wanted to make sure my memory was accurate. All right, appreciate it. You here? Or you still out? Oh, okay. All right. Bye. Hey, Popeyes, man. I told y'all, man. Hey, so that was it. Hey, as a young, I was probably in my early 20s, like 22 or 21 or something like that. But the first place I took Mrs. DFD was the Popeyes. I don't think y'all understand though. It's context to that. I know y'all gonna be like, man, this dude cheap as hell. he took her out the Popeyes, but it's a context to that, and I gotta put it in context. Hey, what's up, TC? Yeah, I'm late to the show. I just tried to go to Red Lobster with the spouse, but he said too crowded. We ended up at the food court. Hey, it's nothing wrong with the food court. You gotta, hey, you like what you like. You know what I mean? But hey, Mrs. DFD just confirmed, because I couldn't remember. I thought that was it. But she confirmed that, hey, the first date I took her on was the Popeyes. Now, let me explain, okay? We went to places different than Popeyes, okay? After that, okay? And I actually asked her because I honestly couldn't remember. I was like, anytime we went out, did I ever ask her to pay for it? She was like, nah. Now she offered to pay sometimes, but generally I just paid because it wasn't a big deal. But let me explain Popeyes because y'all gonna be like DFD cheap as hell. I don't know how she took this dude. This dude got her a 2-piece and a thick ass biscuit. But this is the context, okay? We were overseas on a military base, and on that military base, it was really small. We only had one other place to go eat that wasn't the cafeteria or the DFAC, okay? You can either go to the dining facility, and the only other place, I mean, this base was so small, you can walk around it in maybe 30 minutes. It was a very small post. The only other place there was to eat on the post was you could go to the PX and buy some groceries and cook something. And I definitely wasn't doing that, cooking in the damn community kitchen. I ain't had time for that. Or Burger King. They had a Burger King there. And because that Burger King was there, you ended up eating this. You eat Burger King so much, it was just utterly disgusting. It was the worst. And so we would drive like 20 minutes to the next base over because the next base over, they had all sorts of pizza, Popeyes, everything. And this was the only Popeyes in Germany. I've never seen a Popeyes. People in Germany, they must know like chicken because I've never seen, or they like good chicken, one of the two. But it was no Popeyes anywhere except this one. And your boy used to love the red beans and rice. So, hey, someone who's there and you eating Burger King all the time or down in Whole Food, I was like, I'm in the mood for Popeyes. You want to go to Popeyes? And so that was kind of how our unofficial first date went. It was Popeyes. Don't judge me. Yeah, damn, Popeyes. And that was before the famous Popeyes chicken sandwich. Hey, but I'm a good guy though. Like, hey, I was like, get whatever you want off this menu. You could get spicy, regular, 2 biscuits. You can get a large soda. You can get an apple pie, like slaw. Whatever it is you want, you can get off this menu. That was an affordable meal. Yeah, it'd be some good food at the food court. I agree, man. You can't be too proud. Best part of the food court is the people watching. It makes for great conversation. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Especially you see some wild stuff depending on where you at the food court. It could get a little crazy. It's just the first date. Why would you go all out on a person you don't even know and ain't promised to be with you anyway? You're supposed to be getting to know each other and working your way up. And that's my point completely. It's a first date. You got to be realistic. Me and my wife went to this restaurant. I think it was the Oceaneer. I don't know if y'all ever heard of this restaurant. It's called the Oceaneer. I hate seafood. I'm not a seafood guy. My wife loves seafood. So I was like, hey, let's go to this seafood place. And you can't even go in and just wear regular clothes. Like you can't wear like jeans and tennis shoes. So we go there, right? And this place was, you talk about for us two having a general meal and some drinks, you talk about spending about $300 to $350 for the meal, the drinks, and the tip. So it's somewhere around $300 to $350 in that price range, right? And so we're there, and there was a guy and a girl who was sitting next to us. Young couple, young brother and a young sister, right? And I don't know how we started talking. Y'all clearly know I like to talk, right? So if someone is sitting next to me, some way or another, a conversation might get sparked up. I don't know if it was because they looked at what we ordered or something like that, but somehow a conversation got started. And I thought it was hilarious. I thought it was hilarious because when we talked to them, the first thing we found out was this was their very first date, right? And it was funny because as soon as this couple said, like, yo, this is our very first date, we was like, oh, that's cool. And I was like, my comment was, damn, bro, you setting the bar a little bit high. We've been married for 16 years. You setting the bar a little bit high. And they bust out laughing. But I was dead ass serious. It was a joke, but I was dead ass serious. I like a $350. I don't know. I feel like that's like, I don't know. Maybe that's what it is. I know inflation makes things more expensive, but I feel like that's a little crazy. A place where you talk about spending $350, maybe $400 on a bill at a place. Now I will tell you, I don't know. I will tell you, when we went to, they didn't order anything on the restaurant that was super expensive, so their bill probably wasn't $350. It probably was a little bit lower. But, maybe they had some agreement or discussion on the front end. But he took it at expensive-ass, highfalutin restaurant, and I thought that was wild. He said, your TI, you can have whatever you like. Yeah, I was like, you can have whatever you like. Fried chicken, desserts, high cholesterol. You can get it all. you can get it all from Popeyes. 11 herbs and spices. Yep. The oyster. Yeah, my wife loves oyster. I don't like them slimy shits, but yeah, she loves them. And so we went to, was it the Hell's Kitchen that they opened down at the harbor, and they had a nice little oyster setup. But like, we got 16 years in, so I could go somewhere and spend a large amount of money on my wife because she deserved it. Marcus, you see the story about the guy who took the lady on the first date and she started the meal with 4 dozen oysters and she ordered a main and drinks and he went to the bathroom and didn't return. Yeah, my boy Wolverine actually sent me the clip. The bill was just over $300 for just her food order alone. That's crazy. The oyster story was hilarious. Shorty was when I saw the video, all I heard, all I, I mean, I don't know. Like, I guess, yeah. I'm trying to think. Like, that's not. Here's Ophelia's $1 oysters happy hour. I think that's the name. Okay, damn, that's good. My wife will have a ball up in there. I don't know. Like, do people go out on dates just for drinks though? I think that's kind of wild. Like, I don't know. Like, anytime I said, "Yo, let's go grab a drink," it was never in the context of like a date. I think that's kind of wild. Like me personally, anytime I say like, if I say like, "Yo, one of my boys, I ain't seen him in a while," I'm like, "Yo, let's go catch a drink. Let's grab a drink somewhere." Like, I've personally never just been like, "Hey, I just want to take you out for drinks." Like, who go out to drink? I think that's kind of crazy to go out for drinks. I don't know. Is that a thing that they doing in 2023? I don't know. I feel like that's a little weird to just go straight out for drinks. Cause I don't know. Like, I don't want to go out for drinks and not eat something. Cause if I go out for drinks, damn it, I guess we drinking. So I'm a drink. I don't know. I think that's kind of weird. Also, Oyster video was insane. She knew she was doing too much. Dude was a gentleman though. I think the guy in that Oyster video was a real gentleman because he actually texted her afterwards and offered to cash app her the money for his drink. I wouldn't have texted her anything. I would have texted her anything. I was like, nah, you order 85,000 oysters. You can, hey, go ahead and pay for that drink bill as well. But I'm going to just be honest. In that video, we couldn't see who the persons or the people were. But we can hear who the persons and the people, how they sounded. And I'm just going to tell you, okay, I don't want to make any assumptions about anybody. But from the way that sister was talking, I'd have left too, okay? I was like, she sound like Gangsta Boo from 3-6 Mafia. I was like, nope. So like, hey, I don't blame that guy for kind of dipping out like that. But I do think it's wild to go on a date. I'm gonna have to check that out. There's Ophelia's by Navy Yard. I'm gonna have to check that out. Yeah, that's some place that my wife will go. Like, it's been times where like I took my wife places she wanted to go, and I won't order nothing because I don't want any of the stuff off the menu. Like, I don't want anything. I'll order something like give me a salad and whatever. I just get something on the way home from some other place or something like that. Because sometimes I just take her places. I'm gonna have to check that out. I'm gonna have to check that out. Yeah, that's what they say, man. Oysters are supposed to be an aphrodisiac. I didn't find that out till I was in the military. But yeah, oysters are supposed to be an aphrodisiac. She was ready, all right. She was ready to run in his wallet. It is a date, not an all-you-can-eat invite. Or all-you-can-eat go to a buffet, probably on a list of 28 numbers. No, women aren't going to buffets. Like, nah, like especially like post-COVID. Like, I don't know. Like, even I'm sketchy about buffet. I tell you though, the best meal I ever had and the most expensive meal I ever had, it was in Miami. Yeah, I mean, no, the place probably wasn't like super luxurious, but it was in Miami. I was about to say Zatania, but that's a spot I go to in DC. It was something else. It had like a Z or a V in the name, and it was on the ground floor of a hotel, right? And this was pre-pandemic. It was weird because they had all you can eat bar where the people were cooking the stuff and just putting it on right there. But you also got a menu and you could order like a 3 or 4 course meal. And that bill was expensive as hell. That bill was so damn expensive. My wife was like, "Don't worry about it." She took the bill, was like, "Don't worry about it. I got it." And she just pulled out a big ass wad of cash. And she was paying and she was like, "Oh, I had just enough." And she put all the cash down and I'm like, man, that food was good as hell. The service was great. Like, hey, like, hey, I don't want to say this, but I knew the food was going to be good and the service was going to be good because, like, we was the only black people in there. It was nothing but like old ass white people, like in their 60s or 70s. This was like the middle of a day on like a Wednesday. So I was like, oh man, this is a highfalutin place, and it was a highfalutin place. But she just pulled out this wad of cash and paid it off. Didn't say anything about the price. And we were just talking about it later. And I was like, man, that food was so good. I'm about to go home. I'm about to go back and take a nap and go to sleep. And I was like, yeah, how much did you pay? She was like, yeah, I had enough for the tip and everything. And I think it was like, I want to say it was like $500. And I had no clue. I had no clue that the place was this expensive. So like when I go out to a real restaurant and I want to do stuff afterwards because I'm old, I'd be like, I learned this. I do what you're supposed to do. I get a coffee afterwards, drink some coffee. I was getting coffee and ordering all sorts of crazy stuff, thinking that it was gonna be $300 something dollars. Man, that thing was like $550. It was something asinine. And when she told me, she was smart to keep it from me because I was like, why the hell we pay that much? We could have went to 2 places for that much. Like, yeah, that was expensive ass bill. It was a good ass meal. It was probably the best meal I've ever had and the best service I ever had. But yeah, had she told me in advance, we damn sure wouldn't have went that. Yep, that's what it was. It was when I ordered them truffles and I didn't know that truffles were found at the bottom of the ocean by Jacques Cousteau. I saw the oyster girl. She was a good looking. Hey, she was a good looking chick, but that's just kind of disrespectful, right? Like, I just feel like that's just a conversation. Like, yo, we going out to drinks. Ladies, have y'all ever been on a date where somebody said, let's go get drinks, and all y'all do is sit at the bar and talk and drink, and nobody don't order no fries, no chicken tenders. You don't order nothing to eat. I don't know. I think that's weird as hell. Like, I think that's kind of I think it's weird in both parts. I think it's weird to expect to go out for drinks and not get any damn food. But I also think it's weird to go out on a date and eat 67,000 goddamn oysters and expect somebody to pay for them without a conversation. So I think both of them get a Goofy of the Year award on that one. I can't stand the buffet, but after having a family, we will all be in them buffets. Now that my kids are grown, I'm not going back. No more standing buffets. Yeah, you know what I used to always do? I used to always as a veteran, I used to always capitalize on my Veterans Day discounts, and like I would always go to Golden Corral because veterans eat free, and I'd be in that. Man, me and my wife would be sitting in that joint for hours. So yeah, kids, go back up there, dip some more of them strawberries in that chocolate fountain. Because the kids didn't cost nothing. You just paying for the kids, but yeah, generally I'm not yeah. It's been years. Like maybe I probably ain't been to a buffet since like 2016 or 17. But yeah, the right buffet slap. I've been to a couple of buffets that slap. Now it's just kind of gross. Like even now when I'm in the food court, like what's disgusting as hell? Like the person in the food court sitting out there with a tray and a toothpick, sticking food like free sample. Man, I don't want that old ass lo mein noodles that you've been just holding out there. But that's kind of crazy. I think that's kind of crazy. I had the rule of never having drinks on the first date, or even the first few dates. I prefer to maintain my cognitive abilities. Okay, all right. So, hey. Long as you know what your vulnerabilities are, you know what I mean. Like you like, woo. After one fuzzy navel, ooh, it's getting hot in here. Hey, long as you know and are aware of your cognitives, I think. Hold on, I think I went on one. It wasn't a date per se, But I remember going to a bar. This was young DFD, pre-merge, so I could tell this story, right? I remember going to the bar and I met this young lady at a bar. And I was like, okay, like she was probably one of the two women in my life that I ever bought a drink at the bar. DFD, hey, I got strict rules that I have to adhere to, okay? And so I was like, hey, you want to get some drinks? We can get some drinks going. And somehow the topic of who can outdrink who came up, right? And I was like, hey, hey, your boy back in the day, now I'm weak as hell. But back in the day, hey, I used to throw him down with the best of them. Man, let me tell you. By the time I lift my head up from that bar, she was gone and the bill was right there. And I was like, I guess she won. But that was like the only time where like I actually sat down and only had drinks. But I think that wasn't like a date. We just kind of met up right there and just kind of created this little crazy bet where the loser had to pay the tab, and I ended up having to pay the tab. But yeah, you got to know your own things. Bottom line is, hey, you can't be like, dates are meant to, like, I think the worst place you could go on a date is like the movies. Like going to the movies, I think for me is a bad date because I'm not going to learn anything about you except maybe you get scared easy as hell or you laugh. You got an ugly ass laugh, something like that. So for me, like the movies was always a bad date because I didn't really get to know a person. But like, yo, a dope date, like, hey, what's wrong with going to, like, I go to Dave and Buster's on a date. I think that's fun as hell. And I'd be mad as shit if you beat me in anything. But like, people too uptight, and that's why most people who created that list are single in hell. But as far as that list goes, hey, shout out to Cheesecake Factory. This is probably the best publicity that they are ever going to get in their life. All because, like, yo, if I was actually a company, if I was like Applebee's or something, I would like pay two of my employees to start a bogus viral video about how somebody's spazzing out because they don't want no damn Applebee's on a date. Like, yo, free publicity is always good. Yo, but that's it for this video. I appreciate everybody tuning in. Tomorrow, hey, I had to do a live on this one because this is interesting. I just did a video where I talked about Jay Morrison and the Tulsa Real Estate Fund and how it was a failing investment. Hey, Dr. Boyce Watkins actually did an interview this week where he addressed the Tulsa Real Estate Fund. Boyce Watkins got a bunch of flack because he's a finance PhD who has financial content, real pro-Black. And he was one of the very first people when the Tulsa Real Estate Fund got started that stood in front of a bunch of people and touted how good of an investment this is going to be for Black people and how Jay Morrison did his due diligence. Now that real estate fund went from having $11.5 million in assets to less than $1 million in assets. Boyce Watkins got called to the table. They called him to the front. They're like, hey, we got to talk about it. And this is his first time actually talking about it. And I saw that interview, and if y'all see the thumbnail, I didn't do the thumbnail up, but I got a thumbnail up, a generic thumbnail, is Dr. Boyce Watkins explains why you should not take investment advice from people on social media. I'm going to break that video down tomorrow. We're going to watch that video. I'm going to give my take, and I'm going to give, hey, so it's going to be a wild video. Y'all make sure y'all tune in. Hey, as always, I appreciate y'all for the support. I love y'all. If there's anything y'all want to talk about or want to take on, hey, hit me up, shoot me a DM, shoot me an email. Hey, I'll touch bases on it. I'll talk about it because I want to make sure that y'all getting some value and some infotainment from what I'm doing over here. Y'all take care. Be blessed. Peace.